This morning we're going to do a proper pre-trip inspection so that the driver is prepared and ready to start his day and meet all DOT specifications. We will start by checking the engine oil level in the truck by pulling the dipstick out, wiping it off with a clean rag, reinserting it back into the tube to the rest position, pulling it back out and checking to see what the level is. Then you will put it back into the tube. Next, we will check the power steering reservoir. You will use either the dipstick on the International or the see-through reservoir on the Freightliner. The truck must be off before you check the steering sector. You reach in, you grab the steering sector, and you turn it to make sure there is no free travel on the steering sector. Check the steering arm to make sure that it is tight. Check the springs to make sure there are no visible cracks. Check the wheel seal to make sure that it is in place and not leaking. Check the inside of your rim to make sure there is no oil leaked upon it, and then check your brake shoes to make sure there's plenty of wear left on it. You want to check your belts for alignment and make sure there are no cracks or chunks taken out of the belt. Check your wiring loom, make sure that they are not rubbing anywhere and that they are all intact. You want to check your coolant level. You want to make sure that the cap is tight, not loose. You want to check for the cold maximum level and the cold minimum level. You want to make sure you have your cold maximum level. You want to make sure you have windshield washer fluid in the reservoir. Remember, you have to check the steering arm on both sides of the tractor. We want to check our steering arm to make sure that it's not loose. Check springs for any cracks. You want to check your alternator belt for tightness and make sure there are no cracks or pieces coming out of it. We will now check the tire pressure for proper inflation. Steer tires should be inflated to 110 pounds. Besides air pressure, check your tires for cracks on the sidewall or pieces missing on the tire. Check the inside of the rim for any oil that might have leaked out, and check your brake shoes for wear. Check your wheel seal to make sure it's in place and not leaking. Make sure the fill cap is tight. Check your wires to make sure they are all securely connected. Remember to always check your engine for any oil leaks. Make sure your hood is securely latched on both sides. Next, we are going to check the cab. Make sure your parking brakes are set. Always make sure that your gear shift is in the neutral position. You want to check your oil pressure gauge, your temperature gauge, your tachometer, your voltage, your air pressure in your trailer and your tractor. Your cruise control is on the left-hand side of your steering wheel. Your engine brake is on the right-hand side of the steering wheel, and your marker light is also on the right-hand side of the steering wheel. You have your air horn here on the left side of your cab. The city horn is on the steering wheel. You always want to check it to make sure that it works. You want to check your windshield wiper controls to make sure that they work on intermittent, low, and high. You also want to check your windshield washers to make sure that they work. Check the handbrake for the trailer for free movement, and also check your hazardous warning lights. You want to check your blower motor so that you make sure you have heat and defrost for your windshield. You want to check and make sure you have a fire extinguisher. The fire extinguisher is latched and fully charged. You want to check your lug nuts, make sure that they are all on the hub. You want to make sure that they are all tight. You want to make sure that your oil cap is on and it is tight and not leaking, and that your valve stem has a metal cap on it. You want to make sure that your work light illuminates. You want to check for your 3 reflective triangles and the box that they are secured in. You also want to check and make sure that you have 2 extra gallons of oil. You always want to check your air lines. Check the seals, make sure they are in good shape, and check your air lines and make sure that they are not rubbing against anything or chafing. Make sure that when you hook up your air lines that you fasten them securely. You want to check your electrical outlet and make sure that all the prongs are not bent and that it is latched firmly in place. You want to check your air tanks for moisture. Water causes rust in the summer and ice in the winter. You want to make sure that your battery cover is in place and securely attached. You want to make sure every trailer has an annual inspection sticker. The days of the month are on this side and this side. The month is down here, and this year and the previous year are up here. Your trailer has to be inspected annually, and it'll show the month, the day, and the year. You want to make sure that all the lug nuts are there, that they are all tight, that the hub gasket is in place and not leaking anywhere, and the nuts that hold the hub cover are in place and they're all tight. Always have a proper tire gauge with you. You will always check the tire pressure on the steer tires. The tire pressure should be at 110 pounds per square inch. You always check the pressure in the drivers. They should always be at 100 pounds. Always check the trailer tires. It should be at 100 pounds cold. If tire pressure does not meet these requirements, get it to a facility and get them aired up immediately. If tire pressure is under 80 pounds per square inch, it is considered flat by the DOT. You want to make sure that handle is pushed clear into the fifth wheel. You want to make sure that your jaws are together and that there's not a wide gap between the two jaws. You want to check the bolts on your K-brace, make sure that they're all in place, none of them loose. You want to check your timing tube, make sure that there's a bolt in both ends, that the bolts are tight, and that the timing tube moves freely. You want to check your dolly legs. You want to make sure that all the bolts are there, all the bolts are tight, none missing, and that the arm is in working order and in the resting position. You want to check your cross members. You want to make sure that there are none bent, broken, or missing. Check your lights and the light bracket. Make sure that the bracket is tight, not loose, and that the wire is connected to the light. You want to check your air lines at the back of the trailer. Make sure you have both springs and make sure that they are securely fastened. You want to make sure that the locking arm is in place and that the pins are in the lock position on the slider. You want to check the lug nuts to make sure that they're all there, they're all tight. You want to make sure that the seal on the hub is not leaking oil out on the rims. You want to make sure that there is a mud flap on your trailer so that you do not throw debris out the back of the trailer. You want to check your ABS light and your clearance light on this side. You want to check the reflective tape at the top corner on each side of the trailer. You want to check the reflective tape across the bottom of your trailer doors and all the way across the bottom of your DOT bumper. You want to check and make sure you have both dock bumpers. You want to check and make sure you have chains on both doors to hold them firmly open when the doors are open. You want to check and make sure that you have a license plate light and that your trailer has a license plate on it. Make sure your turn signals work, your brake lights, and that your clearance lights at the top are working. All Heartland trailers are equipped with a tire rack. Make sure that it is securely fastened and that the chain is in place and not dragging on the pavement. Make sure the dolly legs are in place, all the bolts are tight, none missing, and that the dolly legs are cleared up. Make sure that you have a mud flap. It is securely fastened. It is a DOT requirement. Every driver wants to check his registration box to make sure that there is a trailer registration in there and an inspection sheet. You want to make sure you have an anti-theft basket in your fuel tank, and you want to make sure you do not overfill the tank. You want to allow for expansion. All our trucks are equipped with certified clean idle engines.